Hello everybody, I'm KVUE Chief Meteorologist Hunter Williams, and in honor of Earth Day, we wanted to do a state of the climate update for Central Texas, and more specifically, the Austin area. How exactly here in 2025 are we being impacted by climate change here in our city? Well, before we get into the local impacts, look, I'm sure you've seen global and national charts and figures like this, that big swing up and to the right when comparing our temperatures now to the levels that we had in the early industrial and pre-industrial times due to man-made climate change. I'm sure you've seen stuff like this, showing the 10 hottest U.S. years on record. Most recently, last year, the hottest year here in our country ever recorded, and globally, 2024. Now, as we look at the top 10, 9 of the top 10 have happened since 2000, and the one that was not since 2000 was just back in 1998. So you can see the trend here. All of these really hot years here recently due to man-made climate change. Now, let's get into the specifics of how exactly here in Austin, season by season, our numbers have changed as a result of climate change. Now, one of the things that people tell me, it just seems like, man, our nights are not quite as cold as what we used to. You know, it seems like we used to have many more freezing nights. Well, that is certainly the case. So on average, we now have 12 fewer freezing cold nights, 32 degrees or colder, 12 fewer freezing cold nights compared to, say, 60 years ago, back in 1970. You could see that clear downward trajectory where our nights just aren't quite as cold as they used to be. Now, what about spring warming? As we move into spring, we're going through spring right now. Spring is certainly trending warmer as well. The average spring temperature now 3.6 degrees warmer than it was 60 years ago back in 1970. Again, you see the trend line. There's some ups and downs, right? Our weather still happens, but the general trend is clear, and it is a warming trend. Now we go into the summer, and this is where I want to spend some time. Obviously, we're about to be into these summer months, and I know we've had a lot of really hot, just scorching hot summers here recently. But this is also where the numbers, I think, are just really, really clear. And we see some really kind of impressive figures here. So summer warming, the average summer temperature, now 4.7 degrees warmer than 60 years ago. Again, there's still ups and downs, right? The weather still happens, but the trend is clear. Our summers are getting hotter and hotter. Look at the hottest summers on record for Austin, Camp Mabry. So these are the top 5. A lot of these are going to sound familiar. If you've been here for a while, everybody remembers the infamous summer of 2011. That was the hottest summer on record for Austin. But we got close a couple years ago. 2023 is number 2. Number 3, 2022. Number 4, 2009. Number 5, 2018. So of the top 5 hottest summers on record for Austin, all 5 of them have happened since 2000. 2 of the top 5 have happened here over the past 5 years, and 4 of the top 5 have happened over the past 15 years. Let's talk more about that. It's not just that, hey, the summers are getting hotter. It's that these extreme heat days are becoming more numerous. This is another thing people tell me. Look, the summer, it's always been hot here in Central Texas. We expect it to be hot during the summer. But it's these days where we get 104, 105, 106, these extreme heat days that just seem to be more and more common, and that is certainly the case. So more extreme hot days, days above 101 degrees here in Austin. You compare it to what we had back in the 1970s and 80s, and we have on average 28 more extreme heat days. Triple-digit days. This is something that you'll see on KVUE when we get into late July and August and there's no rain chances on the 7-day forecast and we're just dealing with, across the board triple-digit heat. This is a big thing that we talk about, the triple-digit counters. So the most triple-digit days on record, it was that same summer, 2011, an infamous summer around here. Number 2, 2023 had 80 triple-digit days. Number 3, this is a little bit of an outlier now, 1925. As we mentioned, I don't want to sound like a broken record. The weather still happens. The climate changes and it tilts the odds towards warmer weather. But back in the 20s even, we had some really, really hot summers here in Central Texas. Then number 4, 2022, it's actually a tie with 2009, 68 triple-digit days. Again, you can see how all of those, for the most part, are relatively recent summers. Now, a quick break from the heat. Obviously, there's a huge correlation between man-made climate change and our warming temperatures. It gets a little bit more murky, though, when we're talking about precipitation. Now, just scientifically speaking, if we're just to break this down from a meteorological perspective, the meteorology tells you the warmer the temperature, the more water vapor the air can hold. So you would think, okay, all of these recent really hot summers, well, that must just mean we've got more and more rain. Well, it's not as simple. A bunch of other factors go into that. So I just wanted to show you, if we're looking at the driest years on record, this is not a list that has this huge recency bias like the other ones that I showed you. Now, there's one that's relatively recent, 2008, but otherwise, The 1950s, brutal drought in the 1950s, and then 1987. So those are the driest years on record for Austin. Now, I have some more climate change figures I'm going to show you, but I also want to point this out. So we have obviously the greenhouse gases that we emit as humans, and that is kind of traditionally what we associate with man-made climate change. But there's some other factors, including something that we call the urban heat island effect. And especially here in a city like Austin where, I mean, if you just think, okay, 15, 20 years ago, how many parts of our city that 15, 20 years ago were just open natural space, grass, trees, whatever, that are now parking lots, roads, buildings? I mean, it's a huge portion of the city because of the explosive growth. And this contributes to what we call the urban heat island effect. And there's been some studies that have been done that are try to illustrate what impact does this urban heat island effect have on the temperatures. And again, this is pretty remarkable. So this study found that 9,000 people in our city on the hottest days could feel up to 9 degrees or more hotter just because of the urban heat island effect. So again, it's Earth Day. We're talking about climate change, which clearly has a strong correlation on our warming trend, but the weather still happens. And we also have urban development, which contributes to this. So there's a number of factors here, and we just want to be clear about that. But let's get back to some of these graphs and charts here. So records set by decade. I think this really tells the story. If you go back to the 1890s, you go to the early 1900s and the 1950s, you could see, look, we're setting heat records, we're setting cold records. It's relatively balanced. But now, as you get into the 2020s more recently, we are setting way fewer cold records and way more heat records. Again, it can still get cold. Hey, we know what happened in 2021. And hey, this past winter, we had a big cold snap where the morning was down in the teens, even had some single digits. It still gets cold. It's just that the odds are tilted due to this warming climate. And I want to end with this. Hottest years on record for Austin, Camp Mabry. The hottest on record, it was last year. 2024, 72.7 was the average temperature. Number 2 was the year prior. 2023, 72.2. Number 3, another recent one, 2017. Number 4, 2011. Number 5, 2020. So as you look at these, 3 of the top 5 warmest years on record in Austin have happened over the past 5 years. All of these have happened over the past 15 years. And if you were to broaden this out, look at the top 10 list, 8 of the top 10 have happened over the past 15 years. So that is, in large part, the effect that this warming climate is having on our city, especially in the summer, these really warm summer temperatures. So that is an update. We hope everybody's enjoying your Earth Day, but that is the state of the climate here in Austin, Texas.